Hello and welcome to OG Solutions Incorporated. Thank you again for viewing one more of our videos. Today I want to talk about mold. Nobody likes to talk about mold, nobody likes to hear about mold, but the reality of things is that mold exists everywhere around us. The only issue, I guess, surfaces when we are exposed to molds that are not typically something that we get exposed to, or we're exposed to molds because of an ongoing condition that's developing within our home. So let me just say this, that if you're an adjuster, an insurance adjuster, and you're covering water loss, for example, you want to make sure that you get to it as soon as possible. The reason why I say this is do not wait 2 weeks into the future or 4 weeks into the future for mold assessment to be done. You want to get to it as soon as possible because you want to be able to document the conditions that are existing at the home prior to or at the time of the loss. So for example, if a water loss happened a day ago, some mold assessor will get out there to do the assessment, and they would find that there might be another set of conditions within the home that might be affecting the indoor air. If you get to that same water loss 3 weeks later, there's going to be a mixture of different types of molds and everything that are cohabitating, I guess, with each other within the indoor air, and that might be mixed conditions. So you want to get to it as soon as possible, get a good benchmark of what's going on at the time of the loss, and then proceed with a good remediation. Now, you can get a mold assessment done for relatively cheap. I've seen these types of assessments. Not everybody wants to pay a chunk of money for an assessment to be done of their property, and fair enough. But at the same time, please watch out that you don't get just a set of results printed on a report and with very little interpretation. That's mainly what I've seen in the past. Basically, assessors going out to sites, taking one air sample from inside and saying, no, everything is good. Or taking one sample from outside, one inside, and then interpreting the results incorrectly. For an assessor, we're typically looking for the air condition within the home in comparison to the outside air. The fluctuation of mold during the year is quite strong, and we want to be able to see what the outside condition is. So there's always typically 1 or 2 samples that are taken from outside to see what the condition of the air outside is in terms of mold spores. Because obviously through windows or through doors and people going in and out of the house, there's going to be what you could call, I guess, cross-contamination, molds moving out from outside to the indoor air. But when you take an indoor air sample and when we receive the results and interpret them, we want to be able to see if there's anything within the indoor air that is not present in the outside air. For example, let's say that the levels of aspergillus and penicillium within the indoor air are relatively high versus the outside air seem very low. Well, to me, that would say that there is likely some mold amplification site somewhere within the home, likely related to some sort of recent water loss or an ongoing water loss that has just gotten bigger. Take, for example, Stachybotrys. Stachybotrys has been deemed the black mold of death. Many people talk about black mold, and typically the most toxic mold that people really refer to is Stachybotrys. It is a toxic mold. Molds have mycotoxins, but in the case of Stachybotrys, it is something that affects, and it's considered a toxic mold. And people with compromised immune systems, the elderly or young children are typically at risk when it comes to the presence of these types of molds. But if you're seeing Stachybotrys in your air sample, what that basically tells me is that there has been a water loss or some sort of water intrusion or mold creation potential within your home that has developed the Stachybotrys. Stachybotrys grows in kind of sticky clumps. So for it to actually get into the indoor air, it has to have had a significant amount of time for it to grow, and also for it to aerosolize, it would have had to either been disturbed or something like that. So the presence of different types of mold in the assessment and in the set of results that we receive from the lab do help us interpret what the indoor condition is and what needs to be done. So if you had an assessment done, you can get an, like I said, you can get an assessment done for relatively cheap. If you have had an assessment done by somebody and you need an interpretation of it, because basically all it says is no, there's no issue. I've seen many times when it says that there is no issues with the indoor air, but then I look at the results and I see that there is potential for mold amplification sites to be present within the home, or if an assessment was done just basically with air quality samples when no moisture assessment or any other check of the property, then there's quite a bit of work there to be done, and you need to be aware that a mold assessment needs to incorporate all the aspects of the home, including where would water or moisture be possibly coming from. Now you want to get an idea of how to obviously fix it, and you want to be able to fix that source. So say if you're having a foundation leakage or something like that, you want to be able to fix that before you get to any mold remediation. Now mold remediations vary in terms of cost and in terms of extent as well, but it also depends on the how far and how long it's been allowed to grow. So if you have any questions about mold, or if you need a mold assessment done, feel free to call me. I will be able to help you. And again, check again for more videos. I'll be posting a few more regarding different types of environmental issues. And if you have any specific questions, feel free to drop me a line and say, Oliver, I want you to talk about this, and I'll put something up with our regard, and I'll make a comment on who sent me the request, or if you want to be left anonymous too. But anyways, I'm here to help. Please do get in touch with me, and thank you again for visiting our videos, and we'll see you on the next video.